Welcome to Numbers, a book of wilderness wandering, divine faithfulness, human struggle, and the relentless grace of God. Numbers is far more than a collection of lists or statistics. It is the story of a people learning how to follow God when the road is long, the terrain is hard, and obedience feels costly. And on day 37, the journey through Numbers begins. An invitation to walk alongside Israel as they learn to trust the God who leads, disciplines, protects, and provides. Traditionally attributed to Moses and written during Israel's 40 years in the wilderness, Numbers continues the story of God's people after their encounter at Mount Sinai. This book, in one sentence, Numbers reveals how God forms his people in the wilderness, teaching them reliance, obedience, humility, and perseverance. The book gets its English name from the sentences recorded at the beginning and near the end, but the Hebrew title means "in the wilderness," which better captures its heart. Numbers is a journey, physical, emotional, and spiritual. It begins with order. Israel is no longer a scattered group of former slaves. They are becoming a nation shaped by God. God organizes the tribes, assigns roles, arranges the camp, and establishes rhythms for worship. This is not bureaucracy, it is formation. God is teaching his people how to live with him at the center. Then comes the journey. The wilderness is not a punishment, it is preparation. It is in the wilderness that God reveals his presence through cloud and fire. It is in the wilderness that God feeds his people with manna, gives them water, protects them from enemies, and guides them toward promise. But wilderness journeys bring out what is hidden in the heart. Numbers reveals humanity clearly. Gratitude turns into complaining. Faith becomes fear. Trust collapses into doubt. Obedience wavers. Memory fades. The people who witnessed God part the Red Sea now question whether he can provide bread. They grumble about leaders, food, water, danger, and discomfort. Each complaint exposes a deeper spiritual battle, the struggle to trust God when life does not meet expectations. Numbers also gives us unforgettable moments of leadership and failure. Moses, one of Scripture's greatest leaders, grows weary. Aaron falters. Miriam questions authority. Joshua and Caleb stand boldly in faith. Korah rebels. Balaam blesses Israel against his will. These moments teach us that leaders are human, but God remains faithful. One of the most significant moments in Numbers is the report of the 12 spies. God had brought Israel to the edge of the promised land, but instead of moving forward, fear takes over. 10 spies focus on giants and obstacles. 2, Joshua and Caleb, focus on God's promise. The people choose fear, refusing to enter the land. This decision changes everything. An entire generation forfeits the promise because they would not trust the God who delivered them. Yet, even in judgment, God remains merciful. He continues to lead. He continues to provide. He does not abandon his people, even when they struggle. Numbers also reveals God's tenderness. We see him instructing Moses to bless the people with the words, "The Lord bless you and keep you." We see him respond to repentance. We see him raise up new leaders. We see him protect his people from curses. We see him bring healing through a bronze serpent lifted high, a moment Jesus later uses to describe his own crucifixion. Numbers is filled with symbolic imagery that points toward Christ. The manna from heaven points to Jesus, the bread of life. Water from the rock points to Jesus, the living water. The bronze serpent points to Jesus, lifted up for our healing. The wilderness wandering reflects the Christian journey of faith, and Joshua's name itself points forward, from the same Hebrew root meaning "the Lord saves." As you journey through Numbers, listen for the themes that speak directly into your life. Wilderness seasons do not mean abandonment, they mean formation. Complaining is often a symptom of misplaced trust. God's presence guides us even when the path is unclear. Faith requires remembering what God has already done. Obedience opens doors, fear closes them. Leadership matters, and so does humility. And God keeps His promises even when His people struggle. Numbers matters deeply for believers today because many of us feel like we're living in a wilderness season, waiting, wandering, longing for clarity. Numbers teaches us that God does some of His most important work in these in-between places. It reminds us that growth happens slowly, that trust is refined through difficulty, that even when we fail, God does not walk away, and that the wilderness is not the end, it is the path to promise. As we begin this portion of the journey, Numbers invites us to walk forward with faith, to release fear, to trust the one who leads, and to believe that God's presence is enough, even when the road is long. Follow along with us each day as we journey through Numbers together. This is day 37. This is Numbers, and this is His time, every day, all year.